you, sir?
I'm doing well. It's good to be in the studio with you today. And many hospitals in the rural area have
Good afternoon and welcome to We Believe Digital News Break. And we're here broadcasting live from very sunny 91 degrees Jackson, Mississippi, heading up to 96 degrees again today, heat index well over 100. We're just doing a little baking down here, but we're happy to be here and happy to have you join us. We've got a number of different topics to go over today. This program, we try to be unlike the typical news program, just kind of barking little snippets at you. We try to go just a little bit deeper so you get the flavor of things, and a big part of that is to have the ability to have the co-host that I have, Mr. Socrates Garrett, who has seen so much over the last 40 plus years doing business in Jackson, Mississippi, and all the changes that he's seen in his life and everything. So welcome back again, Mr. Garrett. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing extremely well. Thanks for having me. It's always a joy to be in the studio with you to discuss some of the things and the issues that are going on in our community, to provide some clarity where there's confusion, and maybe some solutions that we can offer to our elected officials. The elected official is like a pitcher on the baseball mound, and the catcher sends them a signal. The catcher many times gets his signal from the coach. If they want him to bunt, swing away, or take a ball, he gets a signal. And so it may be that our problem is that we're not sending signals to the people that we have on the team, on the field, especially our pitchers. And so I think the problem, Chris, with some of the issues that we're having lies at the feet of our community and community leaders.
And engaging the people more to make their voices heard as a way of signals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes those signals can be very direct. Like we have to go to the mound and have that face-to-face, nose-to-nose conversation. Sometimes you can just send a signal from the dugout, but oftentimes you have to go to the mounds. And if I come to the mound twice, I believe, then on the second time, you just hand me the ball.
You got to go.
You got to go. You got to go. So that's how I see this thing, Chris.
That reminds me of something from a long time ago. And let me just put out real quick our call-in number. If you'd like to join the discussion, give us your comments, give us your thoughts and ideas. It's 1-800-492-5186. Repeat, 1-800-492-5186. And along those lines, I think about the communication, the delivering of communication. So you got the messenger, and then you've got the person that, what do you call that, the messagee, or whoever you're delivering that message to, and sometimes the messenger might not be delivering the message in a way that the intended recipient can hear, and sometimes maybe the intended recipient, they don't want to hear that. And it seems like we get a lot of that around here too.
Oh, I think we do. And no messagee, as you call it, ever wants to signal. They have a mind of their own.
They think they know.
They think they know, and so they never want to see a coach coming or a messenger coming or the catcher coming. They never want to see that. And so that's pretty much established in human nature.
And, I asked myself, well, what can impact that? What can bring a change to that? And one of the things that you have brought now to this studio that we believe really can have an impact on that is prayer.
Absolutely. Prayer is a critical part of our community. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are in the Bible Belt. Now, it's odd that we have the standings of the #1 murder capital of the world, but we are in the Bible Belt. Mm-hmm. And so our people believe in praying. Mm-hmm. And so we got to augment that with something besides prayer, because everybody seems to pray on either side of the aisle. Mm-hmm. You pray if you're the enemy, or you pray if you are the adversary. Mm-hmm. You pray for strength and wisdom, and more than anything else, you pray for victory. Mm. Now, victory means that you won out over your circumstance, your enemy, mm-hmm. or adversary. You mm-hmm. pray for victory. And so we are going to have a significant hour of prayer in the We Believe studios, praying for victory over the ills in our community.
We're going to start it up on Thursday at noon, and then after this Thursday, every Tuesday and Thursday for a 1-hour period is going to be called Kingdom Prayers, and a broad-based prayer-centric program. It's going to be hosted by a very vibrant, dedicated, actually a physician who's also a pastor. Restoration Community Church is going to get this kicked off in our studio this Thursday. Dr. Joseph White. And Dr. White will be here Thursday at noon, and then from here on out, every Tuesday and Thursday morning at noon, we won't air any other programs until it begins with prayer on those 2 days. And that could possibly expand later on, but we just want to see how that goes. So just to give the viewers a little notice of that coming up.
Good.
And that was your idea, and I think it's just so needed in this area, and I think other ideas will spring from that too. So I think you planted a seed that's really gonna grow.
Good.
And thank you for that. Mm-hmm. If we start out, Mr. Garrett, on we've talked to the listeners over and over and over again about this trash contract, but last Friday we did not have a show. And but last Friday, I was down at the courthouse, Hinds County Chancery Court, Room 5, with a special chancellor had been appointed to hear this argument between this suit between the City Council of Jackson and the mayor of Jackson over the mayor's ability to veto a no vote. And it didn't go on that long. It was maybe an hour, 45 minutes, including a 10-minute break or so. But in essence, the back picture, not all the way back, but the council had voted 2 different times to decline the winning bid on a request for proposal. The lowest bidder, $1.2 million a year, lower than the incumbent trash collector, and our predominantly black city council voted that down twice, and it just boggled the mind. Crazy explanations of the justification for that kind of behavior, but the mayor vetoed their no vote, and that's what the lawsuit was about. And lo and behold, Mr. Garrett, this retired appeals court judge came all the way from Meridian to hear just this case, and lo and behold, he voted in favor of the city council, saying that regarding the statutes, regarding past case law, regarding attorney general's opinions, the mayor has no authority to veto a no vote. So the trash situation remains in limbo.
Wow. And I think you did an excellent job of bringing our viewers up to date on what has transpired. But if I could, I'd like to go back and just work with it a little bit more. For our viewers all across this country, Jackson, Mississippi is a 85% black city, population of 85% greater African Americans in this city. And so, and our government consists of a mayor and 7 council members, 1 in each ward. Mm-hmm. And 5 of our council members are African American in a city that's predominantly black. And our mayor, who is also African American, submitted out for a proposal, for request for a proposal to get a firm to bid on collecting our garbage, of which, as you said, Waste Management has had for 35 plus years. The firm that was recommended to this local council was a firm out of Houston, Texas. And it was a majority firm, FCC, I believe it was. The council rejected the mayor's recommendation of award to that company without explanation. The mayor then sought to avoid a situation where garbage would be piling up in the streets of Jackson. He went out and issued a request for an emergency contract and chose a local firm made up of Jackson business people who agreed to combine their resources and their talents to stand in the gap and pick up this garbage.
Have our own people doing the job.
With our own city people.
To benefit our city, and the dollars would stay here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the council, this same council, made up of predominantly 5 African Americans, voted to rescind the emergency declaration that the mayor put in place, thereby voting the contract that he awarded null and void.
Right.
And so local people, for the first time in the history of an African American city, where the local community rose up and said, we'll pick up the garbage, this council turned down that opportunity.
On our own people.
On our own people.
Right here.
Right here in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
So they forced the mayor then to enter into a 1-year contract with Waste Management so that he could send out another request for a proposal to have this garbage collected in the city of Jackson.
And he did something very unique with that, too, which he was not required to do, but he had the foresight, the vision to do. He made that a blind bidding process.
And help me with how a blind bidding process works.
Well, that way, nobody knows the specifics of who. They just know the work performance. This is what I promised to do, and you don't know what name it is. You don't know what name's attached to that. And so, as a council person, you're voting on the actual substance of the agreement. You're keeping personalities out of it.
Right. So, to further clarify that, the proposals went into a select committee. And that committee that was going to make the recommendation to the mayor did not know the name of the proposers in your blind bid process.
Right.
So the committee didn't know the names of the responders and the proposers.
Right.
First time in the history that that's ever been done that we know of in any city. And so the committee recommended a firm. I know for a fact that the firm that was recommended to the mayor was Richard's Disposal Service out of New Orleans, Louisiana. And he then presented that recommendation to the council as being the low bid provider for garbage collections. Now, Chris, it just so happens that God works in mysterious ways. The local African-American group that came together to try to pick up the garbage was denied the opportunity. Mm-hmm. It just so happens, though, this firm that was the low bidder was African-American owned. Mm. Even though they were from New Orleans, Louisiana, they were still African-American owned.
Right.
And then, Chris, the mayor made his recommendation. And from there, you were telling us what happened.
So then he revealed the name at that time, and put that on the agenda for the vote. And not once, but twice, the Jackson City Council denied it.
And so the council then brought a lawsuit after the council tried to change the order and insert waste management where the mayor had recommended Richard's disposal. The council made an amendment that will replace Richard's disposal in the order and install waste management,
which is an executive function. It's not a legislative function. The council doesn't have the ability to amend the order that was the resolution that's put in there by the executive.
Well, they can amend an order. The mayor doesn't have to accept it, or the mayor can veto it, depending upon their amendment. But they cannot select a provider.
Right.
They cannot declare that they want waste management.
Yeah.
Why in your mind, Chris, would an African-American city, 85% black, with a black provider, contractor here, with $1.2 million savings, as you said, why would African-American council people vote against that?
Yeah, I hear different things, Mr. Garrett, and I think about this. I think about this all the time because I went to a couple of town hall meetings that these council members had after their no votes, and listened to what they put forward as far as rationale. And with all due respect, it just doesn't pass the sniff test. Things like, well, cheaper doesn't mean it's always better, and things of that nature that just doesn't add up. So really, it seems to come down to two things: either those individuals, that trio, it appears a trio of three council members that were so adamant, and then got the one white council member to join up with them, who's now the president of the council. It appears that somehow they're beholden to the incumbent collector, or the only other thing I can think of, and has been talked about a little bit, is that they are so adamant about this young black mayor of our city not succeeding that they'd be willing to do something like this. And that's the best I can offer.
Okay. I noticed we're about to go to break.
We're right out of time, so we got going on that one.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this is helpful to people that are listening. And we're going to listen to some advertisements from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Advertise on WeBelieve.Global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.Global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, Keepers of the Knowledge for People Who Speak the Truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippilink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Welcome back. Thank you again for joining us. You know, we've been talking about this trash contract here in Jackson, and, you know, we might need to get ready to move on from that. But one other development with the City Council in Jackson, earlier this month, the day after the holiday, the 5th of July, the City Council, again, 5 members, predominantly black, 5 out of 7 black, after some I guess that wouldn't be a negotiation, but after some disputing or arguing back and forth or what have you, they ended up electing one of the two. The outgoing president was a white woman, and they turned around and elected a white man who's been there since 2014, a fellow by the name of Ashby Foote, local business owner. They've elected him as the council president. And again, it kind of shocking to me when you have a predominantly black council, but not only the outgoing president was one of the 2 white people, but now the incoming president is the other white person out of this group of 7.
Well, Chris, I don't know what to make of that. I don't believe you can go into any other city in the country where it's 85% Asian and have an African American elected as president of the council.
Right.
Now, Chris, this garbage contract dispute continues to create a significant challenge for this administration and this city.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Rich's Disposal Services, after the mayor awarded the contract to him under the emergency status,
Mm-hmm.
that he began picking up garbage collection from the city of Jackson back in April of this year.
1st. Yeah.
This city council has failed to pay this vendor
Mm-hmm.
for these services
Mm-hmm.
over the last 90 days.
So 90 days, no pay, and they're now working into the 4th month now. I mean, they're coming up on halfway through the 4th month. Haven't received a dime of compensation from the city.
And you were talking about some of the remarks that council people were making, like if it's not broken, why fix it?
Right.
But when African Americans get less than 5% of contracts of goods and services,
Mm-hmm.
how is it that black council people don't think it's broken?
That's right. That's right.
What in their minds would constitute a brokenness?
Well, maybe it's not broken for them personally,
Oh,
and see that, and maybe they, sadly, maybe we're not seeing a servant leaders. Maybe we're seeing self-serving leaders.
well, interesting. We're seeing something because I know that Martin Luther King and Medgar Evers and Vernon Damer and Fannie Lou Hamer and Aaron Henry all died trying to make sure that black folks had an opportunity to participate as first-class citizens in this city.
Have a full voice.
Have a full voice. And you mentioned that 5 African-American council people voted the one white female on the council as president the last term.
Last term.
And then this white council president voted in favor of awarding the contract to Rich's Disposal.
Yes, she did.
She voted in favor of awarding the contract to Rich's Disposal. But then when the order came to pay Rich's Disposal,
She flipped.
she voted against paying him.
That's right.
if I've ever seen or heard of entrapment, that would seem like that's what that was to me. Chris, why did she change her vote?
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I'm not psychic. I don't understand. It makes no sense to me. I have to tell you, when she voted for the contract, I was out in the gallery when it happened, when the vote was cast, and something inside me just, I was just so, because I didn't know which way was she going to go. I knew how the other white person on the council was going to go. You don't need a roadmap to see how that's going to go. But this one here, I just didn't know. And when she voted in favor of it, my heart just sang, because, this is what we need. But and then lo and behold, turn around and vote against the payment. And that payment came in, by the way. They had been I think it was 10 or 11 days into the second month when they submitted the invoice for the first month. And so in just a short period of time, she changed her mind about all that and decided not to support them anymore.
Could it be that she got pressure from the 15% population of the city to hold the line for white vendor waste management?
Well, that's that northeast, that's that northeast corner of the city. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Waste Management's done business here for so long. You just know that they've sponsored events and golf tournaments and this and that, and contributions to people's pet projects and all that. So you have to believe that a lot of people up in that northeast, up in Ashby Foote's ward, Ward 1, and then in Virgie Lindsay's ward, Ward 7, there's some type of absolutely pressure, a feeling of obligation to those people more so than our own citizens.
So we are of the opinion that Virgie Lindsay was put under tremendous pressure about the white constituents who wanted to have Waste Management continue providing the services. As you mentioned, Waste Management had had the contract for over 35 years. Over $500 million in revenue taken out of the Jackson community.
Right.
And you can't see a footprint to where Waste Management has given back. Mr. Chris, I think we have a call.
Okay.
Do you have a headset there? Okay, well, we'll take the call.
Hello, caller.
Yes, how y'all doing, gentlemen?
Very good. Very good. What's on your mind, caller?
All right, I want to make a point that I'm a citizen here in Jackson, and I look at my water bill. Excuse me. I haven't missed a beat with them charging me each month for services that are going on that they refuse to pay Richard Disposal for. I'm trying to find out, what do they think these services, regardless of whoever would have had the contract, they would have had to pay somebody anyway. So the money that they're getting from us, are they putting it in some kind of fund or something? Are they splitting it up? Because they're not paying nobody. They're just taking the money each and every month. And I know they don't think that Richard Disposal has did just something out of kindness of their heart. I think they deserve to be paid. And actually, that money, it didn't come from the council. It came from the citizens. So if anything, I think they need to have some kind of vote if we feel like Richard Disposal ought to get paid. And from how I'm looking at it, and from the people that I know, we all, who the money came from, we feel like Richard Disposal need to get paid.
Yeah, we feel the same way, and we thank you for your call. And maybe you should consider running for council this next time up, because that kind of common sense thought, to have the solid waste fees increased, but not paying anybody for the services they're providing, that just totally don't make any sense whatsoever. So we thank you for your call. We thank you for listening to We Believe Digital. Have a good day now.
You too.
The caller, Chris, makes an excellent point. I mean,
Yes, sir.
where is the money going?
Yeah.
And so is it going to be redistributed back to the citizens? That would be a odd scenario. But back on this council leadership issue, so the two white candidates now have been in control of this council because recently, as early as this month, this 5-member African American council block, not all 5 of them, Angelique Lee and
Brian Grizzell,
I believe, have been trying to do the right thing and be more progressive and get Richards paid and get the contract awarded. But they've been bull rushed by Aaron Banks, Vernon Harley, Kenneth Stokes, along with Ashby Foote.
Correct.
And then they drug Virgil Lindsay into the fray. But now you're telling me that these same council people voted Ashby Foote, the only Republican in a Democratic city, the only white male on the council. They chose him as their leader, as president of the council.
And it's my understanding, I wasn't at the meeting, I'm waiting for the video, but I've seen it in other news reports that Councilman Stokes had nominated Banks, Councilman Aaron Banks, to be but the votes weren't there for him to be elected the president of the council. That way we would have had an African-American head of the council. The votes weren't there for that. And so then it's my understanding that Angelique Lee then shifted it and nominated Ashby Foote, and the votes were there.
Well, I'm certain that Angelique Lee would have been doing something unjust, because she knows how ridiculous that would have been, to try to put this council at some kind of impasse so that they could make the right decision. And during the process, nobody would have ever believed they would have elected Ashby Foote. No. And they did.
Yeah, they did.
Now, Chris, they went to court, as you said.
Yes.
The judge ruled that the mayor doesn't have the veto power. So who is responsible for picking up the garbage as of today?
Well, I believe it was you had told me a long time ago the way it works with vendors like that, especially under an emergency circumstance, you authorize them to begin work, which the mayor authorized Richards Disposal to begin work on April 1st. And so that stays in place until that company is, that would stay in place until that company is told to cease work.
Well, if I was Richard Disposal Service, I would have ceased work the day the court ruled that the mayor did not have the veto power. And then, Chris, the garbage starts to pile up in the streets of Jackson. We're already the dirtiest city that I've been to in a long time. We have not been able to supply drinking water to the residents in South Jackson now for over 3 weeks. We had the dilemma with lead in our water and a failed water plant and potholes and high property taxes. And then we send people down there to try to make life better for us, to increase participation on minority contracts.
And it's not there.
And it's not there.
They can write ordinances for any other thing, Mr. Garrett. They've shown that they, for a while, I didn't know if they could write ordinances, but they've now demonstrated, several of them over the last few weeks, that they know how to write ordinances, but they're not doing anything to help our black businesses in this black city, who are the very people that elected them as their council representatives.
Well, I'd like to send a message out to our elected officials at City Hall. If trash piles up in the city of Jackson on its streets and further causes the decline of this once great city, that you will not be re-elected. Those of you that are on the wrong side of this issue will not receive the votes and the confidence of our citizens for another term. it would make no sense. And I've watched this community correct itself time after time after time. I watched this nation correct itself time after time after time. When they elected Trump president, the nation knew it had made a mistake. It corrected itself on the next election. I watched the city of Jackson make the mayor of the city of Jackson, a controversial man by the name of Frank Melton. On the next term, they corrected themselves. And I'll assure you, Chris, that if garbage piles up in the streets of Jackson, that the citizens will correct themselves and send them home. Now,
we'll see.
We'll talk about solutions. How would the mayor, and I see you're running out of time, but I'm not going to have time to get into it, but how should the mayor respond to this scenario as of today?
Well, when you go to a court like that, Chancery Court, and the man with long experience and everything, and he was very careful to put everything he could find in the record, so you can't. I can't imagine how an appeal is going to be successful on this. So it's almost like you said at the onset of the program today, we need to get the voice of the people injected in there. We need to get one or two of these council members to shift their position and say, look, this is enough. We've got to stop this now, and be willing to change my vote to do that, and approach the mayor and say, you know what, we've talked about it, and let's put it back on the agenda. We'd like to revote and be done with all this. That's the most expedient way.
You heard it from Chris Young on We Believe. Excellent.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We get in discussions like this. I really wish it was an hour-long program, but it is what it is, and we're so glad you joined us. And don't forget, starting Thursday at noon, please tune in to We Believe Digital for the very first Kingdom Prayers session with Pastor Joseph White to get us started out and really focused, get a real emphasis on prayer, because as you've been hearing through this program, there's nothing we need more. Thank you again, and have a great day, and stay safe out there. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. It's good to be in the studio with you today.